Speaking of the cold, Peggy's in Wisconsin too, right, Peggy?
I am in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was
Like
just tell
yes, yeah, yesterday it was like -35. We didn't have any school. Most 95% of the schools were closed. Even the
oh,
private schools I think like some colleges were still open, but and now today we're getting snow. They said only less than an inch, and it's still snowing. It's been snowing all day.
oh no.
We've had a couple of inches already, but it's still snowing. So-
Yeah, yeah, we were just Harrison. You said Maine, Harrison? You're in Maine?
Yeah. Yep.
Uh, but one of our other friends who jumps on once in a while, Cody, he's in Wisconsin also. He's up by Appleton, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Jason is in Chicago, so we feel for you guys out there.
I've been seeing a lot of water freeze pipes been breaking, like even on the streets, like the main water stuff breaking. So knock on wood, I haven't heard anything on my properties that I've had anything water pipes breaking yet. So it's always a good sign.
Yeah, that's good. We had well, we have a few properties in Missouri, and once in a while, I'll get notifications from the towns where we're at, and um, it's just a reminder for the tenants to, leave the water running a little bit and different things like that that we don't really think about too much here in California, but we have had pipes freeze. It's been years now, but um, we have a well, and just one morning we didn't have any water pressure, so I was walking around checking things out, and water was spraying on the side of the house because it burst where it goes into our water filtration system. So had to do some quick repairs there, but it was a concern of mine in St. Louis too because we have 3 units that are being worked on right now, and so there's not somebody there all the time, like you just mentioned. So I was kind of concerned that if a pipe bursts, there's nobody around to notice it for a while.
Yeah, I'm getting nervous. I'm buying that property next week, and I'm like, oh, they said that they turned the water off. So I'm like, oh, I hope there's no major issues when I close on it and get into it. But my dad owns a trailer court here too, and about an hour from me or so. But he's been doing different things like with the skirting and stuff, and just insulating the underneath of them better. And he puts a new one in. If he puts a new one in, he puts on a pad, concrete first, and then makes them more insulated and stuff. And puts a gauge underneath of it so I can see what the temperature is underneath the trailer, so they don't get too below, so he doesn't have too many issues. But yeah, trailers are a totally different story too in the winter months
Yeah,
for
they are
sure.
pretty exposed underneath. Yeah. At least the pipes in the units are typically, up in the floors and they have a plastic and insulation protecting them, but the the connection from the pad to the trailer is always exposed. I have to research it a little bit, but there's some kind of a kit that it's a wire that wraps around the pipe, and I guess it's a very low voltage, but it's enough to keep the pipes from freezing. But it does require some place to plug it in.
Yeah, I think it's called like a heat tape.
Oh, okay.
Something I think, don't quote me on it, but
Mhm.
something like that. I know so there is something that you can put on them to help them from freezing, or you just open up your cupboards, and so the pipes are have more heat getting into where they are.
Uh-huh.
I remember doing that when I was a kid, growing up in a trailer, like you just open them or you let the water drip a little bit in each of the faucets to hopefully help it from freezing.
I was trying to think of a question that I asked in one of the other groups that we're involved in, as far as, I don't know if you guys have any experience with doing BRRRRs or anything like that, but if we're if you're doing a BRRRR, for example, just, I know you can do them with hard money, and there are a couple different loans that you can get to do them. But even if you're doing one with your own money, planning to refinance out of it when it's finished, but different things can come up, right? With, for example, my wife and I don't make a huge amount of money, and I'm always concerned that once the BRRRR's done and you go to refinance, if something comes up and you can't refinance, then all of your money is stuck in the deal. And I know with using hard money and the higher interest rates and things like that, it could get pretty expensive if you have to leave it in there. Do any of you have experience with anything like that? When we first started out, we were following, and I just watched her episode again on Bigger Pockets. Ashley Hamilton is the Detroit investor, and her story was really interesting, and I connected with her years ago after listening to her story. But she was the waitress that bought her first rental using her income tax return. And when we were introduced to her at the time, she was using business credit cards to purchase properties in Detroit and rehab them, and then she would refinance out of them and pay the credit cards off with that money. And she did quite well. The interview that I saw the other day is a couple of years ago, and she was up to, I think, 31 or 35 properties, but she's still there. And I'm sure she's doing quite well. We did take her mentorship course. She had a course that she was doing, um, and it helped us through her course. We were able to build business credit, but the market had shifted and the prices were going up a little bit higher than, and we weren't able to find any deals that we could use the credit card strategy on. But I think it was still good for us to do, because we ended up with quite a bit of business credit between my wife and I. And I'm liking that because you guys probably know I'm a remodeling contractor. And when I have higher limits on those business cards now that I can use to buy materials and things. But the nice thing about it is if I have any balances on there, it doesn't reflect on our personal credit when they're pulling it to qualify for loans and things like that. So that's been pretty good. I think we ended up getting about 100,000 each, which is not huge when you consider what a lot of people can do with those limits. But it's been enough to help us through keeping our businesses going and stuff. Right now we're in the middle, hopefully towards the end, of trying to get a HELOC on one of our properties too. And it's in St. Louis. It was a really low purchase price. We bought it for $70,000, but I wanted to try and get a HELOC on it so that we could pay for some of the repairs that we had to do this past year. And we were working with a lender. Hopefully he'll come on with us in the next couple of weeks. But the HELOC, and I've heard it from other lenders as well, is blockchain based. And the lender, Brian, helped us start the application and put in some information of ours, like our tax returns and pay stubs for my wife. And after that, it's kind of automated, and you just keep adding information that they're asking for. And he put in a stated income amount, and with that, the stated income has to be high enough, and then they'll offer you loan packages, I guess, for lack of a better term. If the stated income isn't high enough, then they won't have any options for you. So he put us in at 126,000 for stated income. And then when you add your bank accounts and through your taxes and things like that, it hopefully your real income will reach that level of 126,000 to match what he put in. But in our case, it didn't, and all we could get up to was 101. One of the issues was that, and he says it's changing now, but my wife has a W-2 and I don't have a W-2, so they didn't count my income. So what we had to do was, and where we're at right now, is my wife has her retirement account. So she had to set up monthly draws to go into her checking account from her retirement account to add to her income to bring it up to the stated income level. And we've been at this for like a month or maybe a little bit longer, but the applications only stay open for so long. So, and if you need to change any numbers, you can't just change them. You have to start your application over again. So right now, I think we're on our 4th application, and we're hoping that they'll finally be able to get it all the way through. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. It's been pretty much a big headache, but the other day when Zuber and Casey were on, and they were talking about different ways to protect your assets and things, and one of the things that Casey brought up was if you have a paid off property, to get something on it like a HELOC or refinance it or whatever to help protect against title fraud. I guess I don't know how long that's been a thing, but it seems to be getting a little more popular where someone can actually turn in paperwork, put their name on title, and then get loans on the property without you knowing it. And there are actually departments now being opened up across the country. I know Sam, he's not here yet, but Sam had checked in Texas to ask about that, and they do have. I think he was able to sign up, put his name in there to receive notifications if anybody was inquiring about or trying to make any changes to his title for the properties that he has. So that's one reason that one of the reasons I was going for the HELOC, and the other one was to help pay for some repairs that we had to do. So hopefully we'll have good news by next week about the HELOC anyway, and we can share that with you guys.
Hey Frank, I just got a little bit late to this HELOC conversation, but I'm glad you are discussing that now because I was just yesterday night I was actually thinking about HELOCs because I'm trying to build some more capital, and HELOC is one of those things that I was thinking about maybe potentially look at and maybe get a HELOC for investment properties specifically. So if you don't mind, and I know you just went over that, but I'm just wondering because I missed the first part of the HELOC story
Yeah.
that you were talking about. So like, are you in the process of getting a HELOC for yourself, like for your own investment properties, or is this for your primary?
Yeah, it took me a little while, but you might have heard us in past weeks. We've been working with Brian, and I can put his information in there. I don't know if Mikey can do anything like that. He's probably still working, but we're working with Brian Bielstein at Neighborhood Loans. And what I was telling the group is there's a company called Figure, and a lot of the lenders that I spoke to had mentioned that they use the same platform. So they'll start the application for you, and then once they have an application, there's a portal where you can, drop in your information. They've asked us for bank accounts to link up bank accounts so they can verify income. We've sent them our taxes and things like that. Ours is a very small amount, and that might be why we had to go with Figure.
Is that the actual lender, or is this like a broker giving you different quotes from different lenders?
No, it's when I was talking to different lenders, I was just because the HELOC that we're going through, it doesn't seem traditional, right? I always thought of a HELOC as like a when you're applying for a regular loan, that same kind of process. But this is it's different. Like I said, it's all automated. Let me see if I can put Brian's stuff in here.
Yeah, because I was reading about it yesterday, and it's almost like a credit card, right? In the sense that it's revolving credit
Yeah.
on equity that you have on your home, right? So whatever your mortgage is, versus the equity, right? Whatever is left, versus the value of the property, I should say, right? That equity, right? What we know as equity, you get a percentage of that equity, in a HELOC, which is basically almost kind of works like a credit card, right? Where you will pay interest on what you use out of that debt, right, or loan that you have,
Yeah.
or
So
credit, I should say, because it's not really a loan, right? I mean,
right, it's
like a
kind of
credit. Yeah.
well, it's a line of credit, yeah. So the other thing that's different about this, for example, if and when we get approved, we were only applying for like $50,000. So if you get approved, you get all the money up front. And like you just said, in years past or other situations, they would open up the line and it's available for you to draw what you want. But in this case, they give you all the money up front. You can pay it back fairly quickly if you don't need it all. And then
But when they give you the money up front, do you have to pay interest right away because you have the money?
you start paying interest right away. Yeah.
Oh, I see what they're doing. Yeah, they're giving you all the money at the beginning so they can start making money out of that money.
Can
Yeah.
I just add
Because
something?
one of the issues with the HELOC is that if people didn't use the money, I know you are not paying interest, which is one of the reasons why a lot of HELOCs, like banks, are canceling those if they're not making any money if you don't use it, right? Kind of like the credit card, same concept.
Right.
Sorry, I know, Harrison, you wanted to set something, right?
If you go through the application process and you just let it sit, you don't have to obviously start paying anything until you draw. So you could just have, like, I've heard that people pull a HELOC out on their properties and just have it sit, and heaven forbid something were to happen, like say a storm were to come through, or a hurricane or something, and you gotta argue with the insurance company and they're kind of busting your balls. You can still draw, and they come back and say, we're only going to give you 20 grand. And you go, no, that's not right. You can draw on that HELOC then to just float the boat to keep it going. And it's like, I've heard of people do that, and I think it's a super smart idea to be able to do, as long as you're responsible with it. You're not going to casino.
Yeah. Exactly. So going through this process, so if we do it through Figure, like I said, they give you all the money up front. You don't have a choice. And then you can put it back, like you said. So just say, for example, they give you the money, just say it's $50,000, and you can pay it back within the first or second month, and then you're not paying any interest on it, Basilio.
Oh, okay, that was my question. Yeah, because at the beginning I understood something different. I thought that it was you getting all the money up front, and then they're going to be charging you interest on that, which is not what I understood from HELOCs before when I have watched videos about it, where it's basically like a credit card. For example, you have a $20,000 credit limit. You are not going to pay any interest unless you use part of that money, right?
Yeah. So there's two versions of what I've been dealing with so far. So that's the Figure, that's the process through them. And so again, just a little bit more on Figure. So say they give us the 50, right? and we used 25 of it for repairs. We paid the 25 back, the balance back, and then we're only paying interest on the 25 that we used.
Okay. Do you know if they have any fees or anything extra that they will charge if you are paying that back too early? In other words, do they have any
No
like
prepayment.
early payment
Yeah. No,
fee or
there's
anything like that? No?
there's
Okay.
no prepayment penalties. That's why I said, and they said you can pay it back as quickly as you like. But to get I guess the closing cost for this process is about $2,400 is what it will cost us.
Okay.
And the interest rate right now is 10.1%. So I've
I'm glad you
also,
mentioned that because that was going to be my next question. Like, if you had any idea of the terms on the
yeah.
HELOC. Yeah.
So what they presented to us was the $50,000. They take out their fee, right? So if it's $2,500, we would be getting 47,500, right? And so that's what it costs to do the loan. When I did more research, because we have a lot of equity on our primary, and I was,
Does that include like the appraisal fee and all that, Frank?
yeah, they don't really do a formal appraisal for the figure
Okay. They do like a
process.
drive-by or they do
Yeah,
their.
they have a I don't know. One of the ladies I talked to at a credit union said the same thing. They enter the address and they get the property
Mm,
values through there. And
okay.
then so I did look into doing a HELOC through a credit union here where we live.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more like what you were thinking, right? You apply, and for example, just say our house is worth 750. We owe 250. They will go up to 70% LTV.
Oh.
And so we would have been able to get a line opened for about 250,000. Their and theirs was an adjustable rate, but they did have an option to fix it 3 times so it had a 10-year draw period. And then so if next year you borrowed 50,000, you could take the option to lock in the rate. And
Do you
you
know
could
if there are any extra fees to lock the rate?
The interest rate was a little bit different. So if you just don't lock it and it stays adjustable, you're at whatever it was
Right.
prime plus 0.5% or something. So that would have put us around 8% today.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you lock it, you had an option of doing it for a 15-year term or 20-year term. So the interest rates were a little bit different for those versions.
Mm-hmm.
And so the difference between the one for figure, it had a 5-year draw period, but that was amortized for 30 years. And it was a fixed
Okay.
rate, the 10 that I mentioned, that would be our rate.
Oh, so that 10% that you have right now that they're offering you is fixed basically, right? You cannot
It
can
is.
you renegotiate that fixed interest rate in the future or no? It's
What
just
they
pretty
said.
much.
Yeah, that part, like if we use the whole 50,000,
Mm-hmm.
it's 10% until you pay it back. If you say you get the 50,000 and you paid it off, right? You paid it off
Mm-hmm.
in a year,
Right.
and then next year you draw 20,000, you would be drawing it at whatever the interest rate was at that time. So it could be less, could be more, but then it's
Okay.
fixed again and it's amortized again for 30 years.
Okay.
So,
I'm in the process of, I just got my money from a HELOC. Same exact thing you were just talking about.
oh, did you?
Yeah, it cost me 6,000 in points and things, but I'm also self-employed, so I have to do bank statement loans. So it's a lot different. And then I have to have it pulled out for 90 days, and then you have to pay the interest on those 90 days. So that's $6,000. So I'm going to be into this for almost 12 grand.
So Jim, quick question. 6,000. So how much were you able to pull
I did this out of my primary because I'm doing this for a specific reason. I'm only using this as basically cash purchases so I can get started.
Mhm.
And then I plan on refinancing because I'm a contractor, so I'm going to be improving my whole plan is to buy a house in cash, and then get it refinanced as soon as I can, and then put the money back in the HELOC till I find the next property. Because every time you pull a loan out, you're paying points and all kinds of other stuff. So I'm trying to eliminate that cost.
Okay, so for 6,000, how much are you pulling?
I
out of
pulled
your
over.
home?
I've pulled over 220.
220. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So, but like he was saying, you got to be disciplined when you're doing it. If you start, it's very hard to see that kind of money in your bank account and say, "Oh, I can use that for that." But if you do, man, it's going to get in trouble.
Yeah,
So,
the way I see this HELOC is like a credit card. If you're not careful and you start using it and abusing it, all of a sudden
yes,
you're in trouble, you know?
exactly. And because like my rate's 11.7. Yeah, so
Mhm.
it took me a long time to grasp that. It's like, man, wait a minute, that's a high freaking rate. But then again, my primary is 3.9. So add those two together, or put those together, and it's a more reasonable rate if you think about it that way. And then
Yeah.
also, if you use the discipline and use it for the 3 to 6 months, or use it as the tool, like we all know it is a tool to do what we want to do. So that's my strategy with it, because I actually, the money just funded today. So that's where
Yeah,
I'm at. I just figured it was perfect timing for all the stuff you guys are talking about.
Yeah, no, that's great,
gotcha.
Jim. Where did you go through to get your HELOC?
I went through a mortgage broker, and he's a real estate guy. So he has 24 properties of his own.
Okay.
He's mainly midterm rental, because he's in California too, and California sucks for all long-term rentals.
Mhm.
So because my first one, I'm looking at a short-term rental right now.
Okay. And where do you live and where
I live
are
in
you?
Sacramento, California.
Oh, you're not too far from me.
No, correct.
I'm using the
I saw you
velocity
on.
banking strategy on my HELOC.
Hi, Mitch.
Hey, how's it going, Frank?
It's going great. Yeah, I think there's a lot there with velocity banking and making it work that way. I know Jared is heavy into that. Like I mentioned to you the other day. That you guys talk about discipline. I think you really need to be on it if you're going to be going that way. But it seems like it has huge benefits.
And Frank, in your case, uh, my apologies if you already explained this, but what is the purpose of the HELOC for you? Are you using it for repairs, or are you using this for new acquisitions like a bear rental?
No, I
Or
wouldn't be using it yet to buy any properties. It was to help pay off a lot of the repairs that we already did.
okay,
I pulled a HELOC out back probably about 2 years ago, and I just let it sit for probably about 8 months when I was just running numbers, trying to find a deal. And it is the biggest thing is like you have to be super disciplined with it. I'm no people have been hammering that home, but like this entire year, my goal for this year is to pay down over like 80% of it, just to get it done out of the way. And I think it is like the other thing I would watch too, like when I got mine, it's you have your interest only period, but then after 5 years, it turns to interest and principal. So your timeline, you might think it might be a 30-year loan, but then you get, your rates could go by 2031. I think I have it goes up to like a $2,200 a month payment, which would crush me. So there is a little bit of you got to put your head down and just kind of keep going. But dude, if you have something lined up and you know what you're going to use it for and you can get it done, there you shouldn't be afraid to pull it or do anything like that. Like it is a huge tool to be able to use. And I've also the one last thing I'll add too is because you were asking about rates was um I'm up in Maine, so I used like a local bank up here, but I up here it's for $600 you can readjust. I have a fixed rate, but you can readjust it to whatever you need it to be to. So definitely ask about readjusting to different rates and stuff like that, because who knows what the hell's going to happen this year.
Mhm. Yeah,
quick
I think
question. For those that have gotten HELOCs before. Like, I was reading that one of the things that happens with the HELOCs at the beginning is that your credit score goes substantially down for temporarily. I wanted to get more information on that. Like, in your experience, have you guys had any impact on the credit score dramatically or not during the process, or
I
is
have
that only
not.
happening when you use the money on the HELOC and then they see the debt, or is it more of you have this HELOC even if you're not using it, it affects your credit score long term? Like I just I wanted to find out more information about that, because I have a good credit score and I really want to keep it as high as possible. So that's one thing that I wanted to find out more information on, basically the credit score impact. Um,
Yeah. It hurts until you draw. It doesn't hurt until you draw.
okay, that's what I figured. But yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
confirming that.
Yeah.
Because then at that point, they'll calculate it into your DTI. Is that right?
Does anybody know if that'll
This
fit?
is Lars. This is Lars. So technically, when you first open it, it's going to go down a few points because there'll be a new credit on your credit report, right? So anytime you open up a new credit card, a new credit line, a loan, it's going to go down initially. How much? If you don't draw on it, it won't be that much. It'll be fairly negligible, but it may go down, from a 760 to a 751 type of scenario.
Mhm.
But when you draw on it, because your credit usage, because the percentage of your available credit after you draw on it will go down, it will naturally go down somewhat, depending on how much you draw on it, right? So if you have, let's say you open up $100,000 HELOC on an investment property. When you first open it up, let's just say your credit score is 760. It's probably going to go down to, like, I don't know, let's call it 754, something like that. Not a lot, but still it's going to go down a little bit. Then you just let it sit there. So now, after a month or two, your credit score is going to go up because your credit usage is going to go down overall, right? Because whatever you had as a balance before, percentage of total available credit will go down. And after time, that new credit thing will go away. It won't take that long, but now it'll be main on that. Now, let's say 5 months later, you draw on it to buy something. Well, now the percentage that you have available is going to go down because you're drawing on the line of credit, right? So if you had, like, say let's say you had $20,000 of credit cards before you open up the HELOC, and you had a $5,000 balance. Well, okay, now once you open up the HELOC, $100,000 one, it's going to go down a little bit because of new credit, but now you have $120,000 and you have a $5,000 balance on it. Well, 4 or 5 months later, as that stays there, your credit score is going to go up because your percentage of line available or credit available has gone down dramatically. But then when you draw on it to buy something, while you have the balance on it, now you go from $5,000 on this $120,000, right? The credit card plus the HELOC, to, let's say, put $50,000. Now you have $55,000. Well, now your HELOC is, now your HELOC, 50% of it's being used, has a balance on it. So your credit score went down. And then overall, you went from 5 to 55 out of 120. So your credit score would go down at that point. I hope that, I know that's a lot of numbers out there, but I hope that works for an example.
Yeah, I think it does. It helps me. So Lars, so just say, you use that 50,000 to acquire a new property, and maybe it's just say it's a duplex or something somewhere, and then
Right.
they're going to be able to add your rents, parts of your rents, towards your debt to income ratio. So that would help a little bit, wouldn't it?
Well, so your debt to income ratio doesn't affect your credit score. It affects your ability to so they use credit score and debt to income ratio.
Mm-hmm.
So the rents will affect your debt to income ratio, which will allow you to qualify or qualify for another 30-year mortgage or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're using the credit score before they calculate the debt to income.
Okay.
So the debt to income is what says, okay, so I guess debt to income is one part of risk, right? And the other part of risk is your credit score. The higher, the higher the credit score, the less risk you are on the potential paying it back. However, you still have to have income available to pay it back.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so it's segregated in that effect. So your debt to income is not going to affect your credit score. Your credit score is going to affect the rate that you're going to get to calculate your debt to income. Maybe that's a better way of pronouncing it.
Okay. Yeah, it's helpful. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe using that product for like a better project, since I see it more like short-term money, kind of like a hard money loan.
Hmm.
I don't want to have that kind of debt like probably for years. So I was thinking about maybe getting a HELOC and then finding like a better property that I can just eventually refinance out and then pay back the HELOC. That's where I've seen that other investors have used it successfully. Um, Initially, I was thinking about using it as a down payment and for getting a traditional loan, but then after researching a little bit about that, you know, it's a more dangerous move because then at that point now you gotta find a way to fund that money right back to the HELOC, and you don't have a way to do that unless you have the money, right?
Yeah.
Somehow.
You just
Yeah.
have
So
to.
I mean, so me, like I use the HELOC, I use cash. I cashed out some stocks, I used some cash, but I also use the HELOC to buy for the down payment and closing costs of my last investment property. And now I'm using the cash flow from all my properties to pay that down as quickly as possible. So there's many different ways you can use it. Um, I always make sure that, hey, if I'm going to carry a balance, that the income from my properties all together can pay down that balance on a 10-year amortization. And that just makes me feel comfortable. But, you know, that way the properties themselves, not my personal income, but the properties themselves will pay it off before it becomes a term note, before it gets amortized out, because my HELOC has a 10-year draw period.
Hmm.
I heard somebody say theirs had a 5-year draw period. So I would just say, if you want to truly play it safe, make sure the income you're making, the cash flow you're making from the properties, pays it down on the principal, on the interest, because they're only going to say interest only, and then you have to pay principal and interest. I would just make sure the income you have from your properties pays it down on the principal and interest that you feel comfortable with, whatever that is. I have a W-2 job, so I feel comfortable with 10 years. I'm paying it down quicker than that, but I'm okay with it being 10 years. Others may not be so comfortable with 10 years. They may have to be, hey, if it's not 4 years, I'm not doing it. I get it. I understand. You have to come to peace with whatever that number is. But I would also make sure when you're calculating it, use the payment function in Excel and say, okay, there's 12 months in a year. How many years do you want to pay it off? Right? 48 months would be 4 years, 120 months would be, use that calculator in there and say, okay, if I make this much of a payment, how quickly I'm going to pay it down at the interest rate, at the interest rate. And I know there's a variable interest rate, but if your HELOC is tied to prime, your interest rate's going to change with the Fed interest rate. Because all prime is Fed funds plus 3%. If Fed's at 0, prime's at 3. So,
Yeah.
And most HELOCs are tied to prime. Not all. I'm sure there's some out there that aren't, but most HELOCs are tied to prime. Whereas your mortgage rates are more tied to the 10-year Treasury or 5-year Treasury on the DSCR side. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to kind of explain it more, or kind of give you food for thought on how to calculate things.
That is really useful. Thank you, Lars. Because that definitely helps. Yeah, definitely. Like that's one of those things. Like you definitely need to make sure you buy the right property, that the numbers make sense, right? Especially if you're going to use the HELOC. That's my takeaway from what he just explained.
Hmm. Hmm. Did you have a comment there, Jim? No. Um, that's the question that I started this off with, Basilio, is, for example, what you're thinking about doing, getting the HELOC, and say if you do some kind of a BRRRR and you're planning on refinancing out after everything's done, what if something changes a little bit and you can't qualify to refinance it?
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of variables, right? To Lars' example, for example, the income that you calculate today for those properties might change, right? I mean,
Yeah.
insurance, taxes, so many different things that we can think about that can affect that income, right? That
Yeah.
all of a sudden now something that was going to be able to sustain a Hilo product now is not able to, right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I guess we just have to find that number where we feel comfortable and then make a decision from there, right? Because we
Yeah.
cannot really predict the future.
But
No,
isn't
and
that where a DSCR loan comes in? Because the DSCR loan takes into account the rental as well. You do have to wait 6 months for that, the season or whatever they call it.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that was my thought, and I checked with Dion today on his thoughts, and I think uh, the DSCR would be a good option if traditional refinance couldn't be done for some weird reason. But yeah, as long as
I'm never traditional. I always have because I'm self-employed.
well, so am I. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
and that was the weird thing I was talking about earlier too, with doing the HELOC that we're in progress on. They took my wife's income because she's W-2. They wouldn't take mine,
Yeah.
and so she had to increase her income by dipping into her retirement account and getting monthly draws into her checking from that. So that's where we're at right now, submitting that documentation.
So are you not letting her retire now?
She might not be able to. I don't think
I'm
she's
just kidding.
I don't think she's listening, but yeah, and so the lender, basically you can turn that on and off, the monthly draws. As soon as you get approved, you can shut them off and you don't have to keep drawing the money from your retirement account.
Gotcha.
Once you're approved. So that was our plan anyway, just to get a month or two showing so we could send them the statements and then turn it off and on as we need it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't have anywhere near those options. I just have to work more hours.
Yeah, I hear you. It's and that's one thing too that's always been with my income. Hopefully your business is more steady, but I always joke around because I in the past I had never been able to put any of our bills on automatic payments because I never knew if the money was going to be in the account next month. So but things have gotten much better since those times. But
yeah, things are real steady for me, but they just had a dramatic change today, which I'm trying to delve through. So that's yeah, it kind of scares me for everything I was about to start doing because I was about to put an offer in on a house. And I put one offer in because everybody thinks they have this gold mine. They keep this house for 15 years, don't put any money into it, and think they're going to sell it for what Zillow says.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem I've had from everything I've been looking at. So it's just because every property I've looked at has at least $50,000 to $100,000 in rehab, at least. And it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And you're looking right there in your area, I guess. Right?
No, I'm actually not looking here. I'm actually looking in Yosemite.
In Yosemite?
Yeah, Mariposa County.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a property. I was going to put an offer on it, but then somebody put at asking. They canceled it, which I knew was going to happen. And I've got another offer in a property up in Amador County, and I gave them a full cash offer. I cover costs. It was $80,000 less, but the other guy gave them an offer close to asking, but they're going to do a 7-day inspection period. In this house, it is a start over. You don't have to demo it, but you have to full electrical, full plumbing, everything, tear down to the walls to the stud. And I already know what they're going to do. They're doing like most contractors do, come in low and they're going to jack it up. This guy's going to come in high and he's going to jack it down. So they lost that opportunity because I'd rather get the one that's in. I think for the STRs in California, the one in Yosemite is going to cash flow out way better. At least it has way more potential to.
Yeah. 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 I just remembered you were doing the STR thing.
Yeah.
Myra, this is your first time with us. Yeah. I saw you put a comment in there about Navy Federal Credit Union. I was just wondering, you said it's a 20-year draw, 20-year repayment. Is that one that you got currently? And I was wondering what the rest of the terms are, interest and the draw period and stuff like that. If you're available to chat.
Is that for me?
For Omira, I think that's how I pronounce it. Maybe they're not there anymore.
I am the one that used PenFed for a HELOC last year. This is for 10 years drawing period, 20 years amortization. Yeah, it was prime plus 0.25. No closing costs, no points. Appraisal wave, like you said, it was like a hybrid appraisal. I think AI generated, and they are able to go up to 85%, 85% loan to value.
Okay. And who did you get that one through?
PenFed?
Okay.
It
Yeah, when I was talking to our local credit union about that, they did say they use the automated system to get the property value, and if it came in low, meaning if you wanted to get more cash, then they would do a real appraisal and we would have to pay for that part. But if they did their appraisal and it fell within the guidelines of what we wanted to borrow or get the line on, we didn't have to go any further and we could use that appraisal.
Yeah, they told me the same thing, so I didn't have to go do the full appraisal. I was okay with the estimate.
Mhm. And when you did that and so have you done one and you've refinanced out of it to pay the money back? I think that was your last one that you were talking with us about. Were you?
Yeah, no, I haven't refinanced out. I'm still
Oh.
using the HELOC. Mhm.
Okay. And you just closed on another one though, right? How did you fund that one?
That was through the MLS, and it's a zip code I liked, so I did conventional. I
Okay.
put 25% down. Interest was 7.38. I think with the purchase of 1.1, I believe, and yeah,
Okay, great.
all regular way.
Yeah, when I was talking to them about the HELOC on our primary, they really dig deep, this credit union does, and they told me up front, they're like, yeah, we turn over every rock. So it's going to be even more detailed than the loans that we've gotten on our properties so far. So, but like I think Jim was saying, it's a good thing, and the lender that we're working with on our other stuff too said it's good. Just open it and sit on it if you don't need it. That's what he did too. And if any really urgent thing comes up, you have that available. But at least you're already through the process, and you're not waiting until an emergency happens to try to qualify. So it makes sense.
Makes sense right now because the interest rates are so high. Basically, what it is for me right now, I think it's probably 8%. So it's not so different from getting just a conventional loan.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's where ours would have been too, at between 7.5 and 8.
I got quoted today on investment. This is Lars. I got quoted today.
You got off, Lars.
We lost you, Lars.
He's going through a tunnel.
So I think there are small banks out there that are, if you're willing to use W-2 income qualify, that will give you something below 7.5. You're paying
We lo-
points for it, but
Yeah.
you know.
We lost you when you started out. You said you qualified or you applied?
So I got a qualifying loan. So in other words, QM instead of non-QM. Fannie Freddie investor real estate quote, 20% down on investment property. It was for a single family home, but it was at 7.25. And then I also saw Better Mortgage. Their rate table gave me 6.5 if I was willing to pay 3.5 points.
Hmm.
I don't remember what the points were on the MBKC bank, but I guess what I'm saying is if you're willing to pay a couple points to pay, and obviously the higher the value, the higher the loan, the more those points cost. You know, that there are, I think there are stuff out there below 7.5.
Yeah, that's one, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's
Better's
one thing.
neutral, where you don't pay points, I think was 7.67 or something like that.
Yeah.
Better Mortgage. So I'm just, putting that out there for everyone, because I always like keep an idea of what the rates are, because it's not like you can just go to a website and say, oh, this is what the rates are for investment properties.
Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. And that isn't bad, like Lindsay was saying. I mean, if you're looking at 7.25 on a regular loan and it's, 7.5 or 8 for the HELOC, it's not bad.
Frank, are you using it instead of pulling an investment HELOC or?
Well, I looked around for an investment property HELOC because, you guys know our story with going through bankruptcy and everything like that. Cynthia was a little bit against putting any more risk on our primary now. So I started looking at the HELOCs for the investment properties, and that's where we started. And because, excuse me, because the process has been so difficult for the HELOC on the investment property, I was just asking some questions, and I checked out our local credit union, and that's the other information that I got, and it's similar to what you were just describing. And I'll probably go through the process just to have that HELOC available just in case. But we had, over the weeks, we've been talking about all the repairs we've had to do on our properties this last year. So that added up quite substantially. So the HELOC would be used to pay for a lot of those repairs, and then we'll pay it down as quickly as possible. And then hopefully we won't have to use it for anything else, but I would be glad that it would be available, once we pay the 50 back.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. But I know a lot of people are very uncomfortable with the idea of backing their primary residence, which I totally understand.
Yeah, and I guess maybe she wouldn't feel that way if we hadn't already gone through the bankruptcy thing. So I'm just glad she's on board for this second attempt at real estate investing. She's always behind me. And yeah, Jason, she wasn't in the room, but she did hear it somehow. So I'll probably have to deal with that later.
Sorry.
Yeah, Jason was wondering if you heard that.
Does Jason want to go to Vegas?
Jason will be in Vegas, yes.
Chat.
Cynthia wants to have a drink with you, Jason. So what else is going on? I think, you guys might have seen Deanna and I talking the other day, and just about how this year is pretty much going to be a year of stabilization. Hopefully we'll get everything filled back up and producing some cash flow. We still have 3 there in St. Louis that we're trying to get tenants for. One of them is up for rent. It's been up on the market for 30 days and not too much interest yet. I think the weather is having an effect on that, but the other 2 should be finished on the rehab side by the end of this month, so they'll be going up in February. We still have to get occupancy inspections on those once their repairs are complete, but I'm hoping to see some action on this first one. That way we can gauge where we're going to price the other 2 once we start those on the rental market. We had 5 vacant units over the last few months. 2 were due to evictions in Milwaukee. Those got filled pretty quickly once the painting and carpet and stuff was done. They had those filled within a month after the other tenants were out, so that was a blessing. But it was a lot to hit us all at once. Hopefully, moving forward, we won't. I mean, I will expect a turnover here or there, or maybe even an eviction, but not 5 at one time.
Let this be at the worst, and then everything goes up for now. I am struggling too with the weather in Chicago. I mean, here in Indiana, it's -6, so
Yeah.
nobody's coming to connect the gas back on or electric on. Nobody's working, so stay put.
Yeah, you're just in the middle of one rehab right now?
2,
2, okay.
which they're completely stopped.
Yeah, and that's something that Cynthia and I were talking about recently, is because in the past we have like we had an offer in on a turnkey property a couple of years ago, and it was in the middle of winter. It was in Independence, Missouri, and it took forever to get the rehab done. And then we ended up not being able to get it at the last minute. When it was finally ready, they realized they needed to do like the main water line or something. So it was going to add some cost for them. And they decided they couldn't sell it as a turnkey. They had to put it on the regular market to try to get their money back. So we lost out on that one. But and we closed on one in the end of July, one of these that I'm talking about, and one was in August. I didn't expect for us to be, in the middle of winter trying to get them finished up. So from now on, we'll definitely try to avoid the bad weather if we can.
I agree with you 1,000%. Same scenario, basically.
Yeah, and it's discouraging, right? I mean, thankfully, one of the ones I'm talking about is the one that's paid off in cash, so we don't have a mortgage to consider there unless the HELOC goes through. But I think we're lucky, and I think Esther was talking about the fact that she is looking more at buying property. She has 3 in Gary now, and that the mortgages are on the lower end, so she's not as worried with a vacancy or something like that, because she can handle those easier than she can her properties in Washington. It's a big difference in the mortgage rate, mortgage payments.
Yeah, I did see your video with Dion. It was nice to see you had what you said, 2,700 in net cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's when they're all full, right? It's not today, but as soon as those other ones are filled, we would have 26 or 2,700 net, and I think I calculated around 5,000 total. So that all of that money is going to be going back into our accounts to refill our reserves, and then that's why I said we'll take the rest of this year to try to make that happen, and then maybe be ready to buy something after that's done.
Yeah, that's not the sexy part of real estate, of like you have to withstand the weather and save money and budget and readjust reserves.
Yeah, yeah, but and you've heard us talk about the fact that you need to have reserves. And I'm thankful we had enough reserves to get us through all this whole mess. And it's otherwise, I mean, it could have been devastating, right? But I think we learned a few things from the last time we tried it to this time, so that's been good. I saw, well, I got it. I was able to pop in on your last Friday Zoom call. That was really interesting with you guys going through. Was that property you were analyzing in Alabama? The one Vincent was talking about?
Yes, I think somebody brought in a property from Huntsville, Alabama. Kind of like what I think Lars brought up property pictures from last time,
Okay.
just to see if it was cash flow. I believe it was a new investor who hasn't purchased any investment properties yet.
Remind me again, Lindsay, how long have you been investing now?
Since 2022,
Okay.
so going on 3 years.
And with this latest one that you just closed on, how many is that for you now?
That would be 9.
Did you have any others besides in Gary?
Yeah, I have one in Hammond,
Oh, that's right.
just west of Gary. Because initially I was scared going to Gary, so I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna do the Hammond, which is a B neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, that property was expensive compared to Gary, 135K. So
Yeah, I've heard Millennial Mike talk about Hammond and that I think at the time he was thinking, like we talk about the next property being a little bit better, neighborhood or condition or things like that. And he mentioned Hammond for that reason too. I don't know if he's actually bought anything there yet, but that's what we're thinking too. We have the 7 properties, and I'm hoping that we can keep getting better with each one. I think the last one we got is in a little bit better zip code in Missouri, in St. Louis, and so that's our goal.
have you been to St. Louis, Missouri?
I haven't been to see any of our properties.
I've been twice, so I definitely driven 500 miles each day just seeing neighborhoods. So I take advantage of the boots on the ground because I definitely wanted to see if I was, looking for the right neighborhood instead of staying away from the depleted houses, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's so smart, and I'm hoping to be able to get to do the same thing for our portfolio, just to, go and make sure there's actually a house there and things like that. But and then to maybe drive around with our property manager or agent and get a better feel for the areas, because I think the 2 of them in in the St. Louis market are like on the lower side of the C. I don't know if they're actually C minus, but I would say between C and C minus. And I want to, I mean, if we move up into B, you've heard me talk before about that being more for appreciation. And Cynthia and I are already closer to retirement, so we don't have a ton of time for appreciation to kick in. That that accountability call is in the school platform. Lindsay, do you guys let people outside of school attend those?
Benson is the main host. I'm not sure. Is that allowed?
I don't know. The only reason that we can do it is because Zuber invited us into school because we were doing our call. Well, we've been doing our call for like a year. And when he found out about it, he asked me if I wanted to do it in school. Yeah, Mark, I think you're short enough to be my son. I'll take you. So I don't know. And two, I was wondering, Lindsay, I noticed the other day when I joined your call on my computer, it had an option for me to record the meeting, but I think I needed to get, well, either your permission or Vincent's permission to record it. Are you guys recording the meetings and posting them somewhere?
No, we have not talked about it. I think he wants, I'm not sure if he has a channel. I don't think he does actually. So I will ask him if we can start recording to see if we can just post it on school. So anybody misses it, you can just refer back to it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious.
I will text him tonight.
Okay. Hi, Sam. Hi, Mitesh. Good to see you guys. We were just talking about you, Sam, and I can't remember what we were saying. Oh,
Hi, Frank.
hi. Good evening. Yeah, we were just talking about because you had mentioned you checked in with your county about, remember when we were talking about the title fraud and things like that? And you had mentioned you checked into the folks in your county and that there was some kind of a program or something that they were monitoring.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's yeah. I looked at the website and there was and it says at the website it was a new service that they are offering. And so what I did was I went ahead and registered myself. I added my email, my phone number. I added my my property's addresses, and it was if for any, you know, if for any for if anything were to happen to the title, or there is any transfer to title or anything of that nature, or anything on the county level, I will be notified. And it's just a service for fraud protection. And it seems like fraud is, you know, it's everywhere these days. So so they probably added the service recently. And I, you know, it's free. It's free also. So you go there and register and add your information. And you know, I'd like to be notified on anything that happens to my properties for sure. And you know, if something were to happen, I'd like to be notified, just to maybe to be on time with so I can notify the county, or you know, and so that nothing. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to. I'm sure there's a way to find out what happened after a while, but I'd like to catch it, you know, faster. Maybe notify them faster if I get notified. So yeah, it's a free service. I mean, why not? You know, getting that out there, and you know, I'd like and have the information ready if something were to happen.
Now you are making me wonder if I can do the same thing on my market. I wonder if they have the same thing here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, go to your county or city, or you know,
Yeah, I'm gonna find out. That's nice to have.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to have, and I think there's some companies that offer the service for a fee, like life protection or some of these, some of they add it to their packages as some kind of protection, and you pay monthly fees. But I think this is a way of doing it, and it's coming right from the county. It's no with no fees, so. Why not? And it's good to be notified if anything. These days fraud can happen anywhere, and as I get 10 calls of scam every day, so it's everywhere. It seems like. So why not getting that layer there?
Yeah, I think that's great. Cynthia did get us started on LifeLock a few years ago, so that and once in a great while I'll get a notification from them that, usually it's because I've applied for a loan or something crazy like that, but it is nice for somebody else to be watching, because like you said, nowadays you click on the wrong thing and somebody's got all your info.
Yeah, I have an account at Coinbase, but I opened years and years ago, and it doesn't have much, but it seems like I get emails now and then not from the company, but from people trying to click on their link, and some of these scammers, and yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. So why not? It's good service to have, especially on something like real estate. So.
Yeah, good.
But you just go to your website, to the company, to the county website, or maybe Google it and see if they have offer that service. It's good to have.
Are you able to chat tonight, Val? We were wondering if you ever got your biker out of the living room.
No, sir. We actually I rode by the house today. I rode to the house today just to, kind of put my eyes on it. And everything looks to par, but we have court on the 30th.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's on like 8 days. So yeah, we'll make that happen. So yeah.
I don't know if I asked you before, Val, but are you going to try to make it to Vegas?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I got a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, I was just more or less trying to get the I'm gonna do the virtual. That's what I plan on doing.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, look, let me tell you something. I know this is got nothing. I don't want you to feel like I disrespected you. Do you know I got that T-shirt in, and it came in at Christmas time, and I took the T-shirt out, checked it all out, put it back in the bag, sat it on my kitchen table, went back to work. I have torn my house apart trying to find this T-shirt, and I can't. So that's why you've never got a picture or anything. So just want to let you know. But I'm still looking. So yeah. So that's kind of what happened. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, don't worry about that. We were lucky enough to get a few pictures. Mark's been sharing pictures whenever he can on his channel and stuff like that. I think Mikey and those guys have done that for us too. But if you don't find it, just let me know. I was just counting up the shirts that I have today. I have a few 3Xs left. I'm happy to send you another one. don't.
Well, hey, I wasn't saying that. I was just letting you know why I hadn't
No,
sent you a
I know.
picture, and
Yeah.
I've been tearing my house apart. But worst case scenario, I just hate that it was right at Christmas time, and my wife, she gets to moving stuff, like because I'm one of those ones. Hey, check it. I know what that is. I was excited because hey, it came and I popped it out the bag, shoved it back in the bag, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna take this back to my room, and yeah, I have not saying it, but. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Esther, how are you? Are you there? Maybe not. Does anybody else have any other questions or any other issues you're going through right now that you need some feedback on?
I wanted to ask you about your 5 evictions. Were they
For
like
us?
very similar tenants?
Yeah, well, we didn't have 5 evictions. We had 5 vacant units at one time, and 2 of them were evictions, and they were 2 in the duplex that we have in Milwaukee. And one of the tenants came with the property when we had it, and yeah, from what I understand, it was a husband and wife, and then the husband moved out, and I guess the wife hung on as long as she could and paid the rent and stuff.
Hmm.
And then she couldn't. And then
How long was she behind?
she ended up at like 2 months behind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
No, but with that couple, we had had to go through the eviction process with them as a couple, and at that time they were about 3 months behind. When they went to court, they agreed to catch up, and they caught up right away, so they ended up staying. And then something happened, and the partner's gone. And the other young lady, same thing. She got behind. She was facing eviction. She caught up. We had inspections done at the time to see if we were going to, continue with her and let her stay. And she was taking super good care of the place, so she stayed. And then same thing for both of them, about a year after the court, they fell behind again. And so we just had to do it because that's our biggest mortgage. It's $1,700 on that place.
Wow.
So
What's the rent on that one?
each side rents for $1,350.
Oh,
So the rent's $27 total.
wow.
And like I was saying on Dion, when I was on with Dion on Saturday, it's probably the lowest performing property we have, but it's not negative cash flow. It's just not as much as we hope to get for each door.
Hmm. Sounds like the price to rent was much lower. Or the rent to price.
Yeah, a little bit lower. And well, since you bring up the eviction thing, something I didn't get to talk about with Dion on Saturday when he was doing his live was we have a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath in Illinois, and that tenant is Section 8, and she, we were on the verge of eviction with her at a point probably 6 or 7 months ago, and her portion of her rent was only like $60, and she would never make her portion. And so she was going to go to court, and then somehow Section 8 agreed to pay her total rent. And so we've been collecting rent, on time every month from Section 8, the full amount. But we're trying to schedule an inspection, and we've been trying I've been trying to get them to do an inspection for months now, and finally the property manager let me know that she said she doesn't that she had tried to schedule inspections, 3 or so different times, but right now she didn't want to push that tenant because the tenant pulled a gun on her, whoever she sent out there. So right now we're I'm in a spot where I want the property manager just to get her out of there. I don't need another turnover right now or an eviction right now, but I think that's unacceptable. I let the property manager know, we're really relying on the PM to help us take care
Did
of
you
our
do
investment.
like a police report?
I'm trying to find more out. The last time we talked was on
That
Friday.
should go on a record,
Yeah. And I'm trying to find out because I could go straight to the housing authority myself, but I don't want to go to them with secondhand information. So I'm trying to find out exactly what's going on so that, because if the property manager is not going to go to Section 8, then I will.
Maybe do the inspection with a police officer.
Yeah, when we talked on Friday, they were supposed to be going out there. Hey, 1 second, guys. Yeah, so that was my thought, that they need to get the sheriff to go with them, but they shouldn't have to do that. I don't know what's wrong with this lady. She was, I wouldn't call her an inherited tenant, but when we bought this place, it was through a turnkey provider, and they had just rehabbed the unit, and the turnkey provider, she was his tenant for a while, like a year before we bought our place. So she was looking for a little bit bigger place to move into. So he moved her into our place. And then it was okay for the first few months, and then everything went downhill.
Sounds like another eviction there.
Yeah. And, I mean, like I said, I don't want that right now, but that property is paid off, so we don't really have a mortgage to deal with. So that's
is she paying though? Is she paying it monthly?
Section 8 is paying, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're getting money each month, but I need to get in there and see
It's
how
quite a
she's treating.
dilemma. Quite a dilemma.
Yeah, it's not much. It's only $8.50 a month, but it's.
I see why you want to hold it off.
Yeah, especially with the way the weather is back there. It'd take a while to get it filled again and stuff like that. But
when you get a chance, can you tell me how hard it was to get set up with Section 8?
Yeah, we're going through that right now, Jim. So we didn't really have to set anything up with that tenant because she was already with Section 8. So we didn't have to apply through Section 8. But right now, we're leaning towards Section 8 tenants on the 3 that we have in St. Louis. And since our stuff is handled by property managers, we don't really have too much involvement in the process. I know in St. Louis, the county has to do an occupancy inspection. So before we are able to rent, they come in and inspect. And then if Section 8 has an applicant, they will do their own Section 8 inspection on the unit as well. So I'm happy to keep you guys updated on that as we learn more.
So it sounds like it's not that difficult to just apply for it.
Our property manager lets the housing authority know that we have the units available and they're open to Section 8 tenants. Then if a Section 8 tenant sees our property available, they apply, and through that process, then I think if they pass the qualification, because they still have to go through qualification through the PM, and then if they're approved, Section 8 arranges an inspection at that point.
So is there a listing for Section 8 houses through them?
There
Through Section
is,
8? There
they
is.
have, yeah, Section 8 has their website. So what I did was I took the Zillow link that our property manager had put up and I shared it on the Section 8's website. They have, in St. Louis, they've been really helpful. They have what is actually called a landlord liaison, and he's been real responsive to my questions and my emails. He gets back to me right away. So I was surprised about that because we always hear, they take forever and they never get back to you and stuff like that. But it's been just the opposite for me.
I've heard that your first payment usually takes a little time, but after that, it's real easy.
Yeah, yeah, and that happened. It was a little bit different, but when we bought a property, one of these three, and there was already a Section 8 tenant there, but the property was being managed by a different property manager. So when we took it over, our property manager had to get together with the old property manager to get all the information transferred over. So that took a little while, but then Section 8 for, I think, 2 months, they were sending the checks to the old property manager. So we didn't actually get a payment for like 3 months.
Oh, ouch.
But it all came in.
Right.
At the end. And again, that property was paid in cash. So we didn't have a mortgage on that one. So that one didn't really hurt.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
how long does it take from somebody, a Section 8 candidate that's interested to move in?
And that part is what we're going to find out because it depends on how long it takes Section 8 to line up their inspection. That part I've heard can take 2 to 3 weeks. So from when the tenant applies to when they actually move in, I would say 3 to 4 weeks. But I'll let you guys know.
That's not bad.
Not too bad, and it varies from what I understand, from market to market. Like Matt, the lumberjack, says there's one jurisdiction he won't work with because Section 8 is so bad. And thankfully, our experience hasn't been like that.
I'm sure that's going to be office to office like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this?
We started again. So the first time we tried was back in 2007. That's when I didn't really know what I was doing. We picked up 2 properties in Sacramento, actually, and we held on to those for about a year. We had all the bad loans and everything. Once they readjusted, we couldn't hang on, so we lost those. We went through bankruptcy in 2010, and then I don't have a retirement savings, so I was in a panic. But real estate was still on my mind, so we started learning again in 2019, and then I found Zuber in late 2019 or early 2020, and then through him, ran across everybody else and just started learning as much as I could. We started with turnkey properties in the Midwest. That's why, Dion teases me about being in 4 different markets. I didn't just go and pick properties out of thin air. We were buying turnkeys and they just happened to be in different states. We've had Allie Boone's been on with us in the past. She's a turnkey promoter and she was on Bigger Pockets along with Zuber at the time. So that's how we met her, and turnkey it seemed like the perfect model for us because California is fairly expensive, like and then so we bought 3. We have purchased 3 turnkeys, and then after that we liked St. Louis, so we found a good agent there and a really great property. I think he's a great property manager. One of these days we'll have to tell you about him getting into it with property inspector. They almost came to blows.
Uh-oh.
He's a good guy. He wouldn't back down, and he was on our side. So, I have a lot of faith in him. Their fees are higher, obviously, because they honestly have told us if they do a project and they manage it, they have to add, well, they don't have to, but they do add 12% on top of whatever the cost of the project is. But also he's been okay with me finding my own contractors, because his team, the property manager's team, they have a lot of properties to take care of, and sometimes it'll be 2 or 3 weeks before they could get to ours. So I've gone out, and with the help of our agent there, she's given us some referrals for a contractor, roofer, and a plumber, for example. So we've used them to work on our properties while we're waiting for the PM to get his crew available. And the prices between his bids and the bids I'm getting are quite different. I've been saving some money there, thankfully.
Yeah, my goal is to find a market like a Gary, Indiana, or somewhere in probably South Carolina, and I would like to go out and look at the properties, find one, get an inexpensive one to just do a test sample, get a couple contractors, a couple of handymen to go out there and work with me, get the remodel done with them to see how they work. And then get it turned, hopefully with a burr. First of all, I'm going to stop all that CAPEX, because I'm going to take care of everything up front. Because I don't like the idea of being far away and having all that stuff that can get broken. I'd rather get that heater fixed. I'd rather get that water heater fixed, all the plumbing changed, all that type of stuff, and then not have to worry about it, especially on a smaller house. It's just, it's more cost effective.
Yeah.
And then do the DSCR after that, after a month or two, and then it's all good. Hopefully you're collecting 20-30% off the rehab and leave that in the property and then get my money back. That's the hope. Well, it crosses my fingers that it works.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great plan. I would love to do that myself, but when I tried to think about that, I would be able to go, but the person that works with me wouldn't be able to go, because his family's here and he has a young daughter. But and then he was kind of reliant on the income that we produce together. So if I'm gone, he would have to go find someplace else to work. So it just wasn't right at the time. But hopefully on our next purchase, if it is something that needs some work, I'll be able to go there, like you said, and meet the contractors and even work alongside them doing some of the projects myself would be optimum.
Yeah, because then you get a feel how they do, see if it's the right fit, and if that works out, then you have that system in place when you go find another property.
Yeah, and I think it's another advantage is with you being there face to face, right? It's different when you guys are just talking on the phone. Luckily, the guys I'm hiring come through my agent, and so they have that pressure to be, I guess, upstanding, because they have a lot of other work from her. So there's some trust there already. But yeah, I think it's totally different if you can, you can stand with somebody and work with them, show them what you do, that you know what you're talking about, and things like that. And there's a little bit more respect even that way.
See, I do everything. I can. I don't build houses, but I can do. I do all my own plumbing, electrical. I can do HVAC. I can do all the tile, everything. So, especially a rehab, it's no problem.
Yeah.
It's all done. I've been doing it for 31 years. So, actually, 37 in the industry. So
yeah, that's awesome. I think we're about at the same. This is year 35 for me too.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't play with anymore is roofs, but everything under the roof is.
Yeah, roofs suck. I'll do it if I have to. I don't want to.
I'm way too old for that now.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for putting this on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you can make it.
Yeah.
We're
Is this
here
every week or?
Every week.
Okay.
Yeah. The only time that might get interrupted is when we're in Vegas for Zuber's thing.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, that brings up a question. Do you know of any meetups on Friday night?
There was some talk about some of the guys doing something. Are you there, Mark? they
'Cause
were
I know,
talking.
I know they're doing the Denny's thing on Wednesday and Thursday, but they said they're going to rest on Friday for the thing. But I come in Friday night at 5
Okay.
o'clock. Yeah.
Well, if you want, we can exchange numbers.
Okay.
You can email me. It's just oldguy.rei@gmail.
Okay.
And then that way, when we're there, you can text us. That's how most of us did it last year.
Okay.
As we got in, we just said, "Hey, I'm here. Where are you guys at?" And then by then, the guy should have something nailed down. They were talking about I don't know, even meeting at some bowling place or something like that, just to get together and hang out for a little while. And
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, because I didn't only I've been to Vegas like 30 times, so because I used to do all kinds of shows and crap there. So I'm staying at the Strat just because it's easier. I don't know how far away that is from where we're going, but
yeah, the Strat. I don't know. We're supposed to stay at the Golden Nugget. I think Mark and a few people are staying at the Downtown Grand.
Hey Frank, I just missed that part, but like how can we communicate when we're in Vegas so maybe we get together and stuff? Should we just reach out to you on Instagram or
No,
are we
you
just
have
doing a
my
text? I have your number, so you
yeah,
want me to just text you when I'm there? We
yeah,
can
that's
get
what I was
together.
telling Jim. Yeah, just
Oh,
shoot me
okay,
a
okay.
text if
Sorry, I
you
just
guys
got
want.
back. I was doing something else.
Oh no, that's okay. Yeah, just send a text if you guys want to get together. We might know what other people are doing because well, just in our immediate group, there's like probably 10 to 15 people that will be connecting when we get there. Last time we stayed at the Venetian, and they had a big like what do you call it? Where all the little restaurants are, and there's a huge area for seating. So we just all went there and sat around and talked for a bit. But yeah, since you have my number already, just text me and we'll.
Have you heard any updates on the Denny's gatherings with Dion?
Yeah,
Are they doing that like what, Thursday and Friday, right?
No,
Like we did last time?
Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, I'm gonna be there on Thursday morning, so I guess I'll go to the one on Thursday night.
Yeah, and then
Is it
he
gonna be
said,
at the same Denny's?
well,
Or
Dion didn't know if it was the same one, but he gave us the address. It was, let me see,
let me write that. Did he say what time or not yet?
at midnight.
Sorry, what was that?
It's at midnight again.
At midnight? Okay, same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's because he has the weird hours playing games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they set it at midnight, but they've been doing the midnight meetups for quite some time.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to talking to Dion because I'm a scuba diver too.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to look up the addresses.
Yeah, it's on that YouTube that you guys did the other day.
Right. It was
What YouTube? What video is that? Is that like a YouTube video between you and Dion Frank?
Oh yeah,
Was supposed
Dion
to
did
resign? Okay.
we did a live last Saturday.
Okay.
So it's on his channel.
Okay. I mean, I can look it up if you don't have the address. No worries, man.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see it popping up.
I'll look for that video. Yeah. It's a 55-minute video, so I'll watch the entire video until I find the address. Just kidding.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, I just text you when I'm in Vegas and you can probably send me the address, when we're there.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to chat about?
I was gonna ask you, Frank, on the electric part. Do you know if the electrician would be if the house is in a framing only, would the electrician be able to do all his job, or he may need some sheetrock installed?
No, it'll be easier if it's down to the studs. The only thing that I would that would be helpful would be like placements of light fixtures, like in the bathrooms, or if you're going to have sometimes you'll have a vanity with a light on the wall versus just in the ceiling, or you're going to have a vent fan in the bathroom, things like that, so he'll know where to run his wire to. But from the panel, he can do all his home runs. If you're going to have an electric stove, obviously, you'll want to have that place set where he's going to run the stove. One thing too with that is helpful is if you know what model stove you're going to get, because sometimes they have different spaces where they prefer the electrical box for the plug to be. Like sometimes it's right in the center behind the stove on the bottom, or sometimes it's on the right or left where they kind of dedicate, a 12 by 12 area, and they make room for the plug because it might stick out from the wall a little bit.
You also need the amperage.
Yeah. Well, stoves are usually 50s, right, Jim?
There's all kinds. If you're doing they have wall ovens of 220 20 amp. So there's all kinds out there. It's always better to confirm that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you know the model of your, you don't have to have them there, but because he can pull up the schematics and then place it accordingly. But yeah, I
That's a
think,
good point.
yeah, you don't really, if there's any sheetrock in there, it'll just be in his way. He'll have to he might have to cut through it to run his wires somewhere, but.
And most electricians don't make pretty cuts.
And they certainly don't patch their cuts.
No.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So I noticed, I saw on one of your videos, Sam, that you got your permit. Was that just for the plumber, or was that for the whole project?
Yeah, that permit was for it's called the building permit. And that's the first one I think I have to get and then the electrician and the plumber has to go and pull the permit, and they have to connect it to the same building permit. Like they have to use the building permit number, so they attach their permits to that. And yeah, that was the first one, and I pulled it myself. I'm not gonna pull. The city told me, whoever. It seems like the electrician has to pull his own, and the plumber has to pull his own.
Mm-hmm.
So I have nothing to do with these permits because they have to, they have to get the inspector there, and then and contact the city. So the communication would be for those permits, the electrical and the plumbing would be between the plumber and the electrician. With the city directly, I have nothing to do with that. But I pulled myself the building permit, and I'm GCing the project myself, and it was a story to get that building permit too. So I'm glad it happened.
Sam, where are you located?
I'm looking in Jim, in Texas. I'm north of Houston.
Well, that's interesting because Texas is usually really easy to deal with.
Yeah. This is this house in a small city, and so here is how it grows here. It grows like this. If you're in a city, you probably will pull all kinds of permits. If you're in a county outside of the city, if the house is located in the county, that only you would only need like a building permit, and that's it. But if you're in the city, the building permit, electrical, plumbing, probably garage, you need or a driveway, you need a permit for that. So yeah, that's kind of different than maybe other states, but that's what I've been noticing here.
Yeah, because I know somebody that did a glamping operation in Texas. Yeah, he was not in the city. Cost him $500 for a $1 million project.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not in the city, yeah. I think the county, all the county cares about here is the building permit and they care also much about the septic permits because and for I'm not sure if this is the case in everywhere, but in here it seems like every house in the county probably don't have public water and sewer, so they would have a sewer, a septic system, while most of the houses in the city have public water and public sewer. So yeah, the building permit in the county is another deal or another permit they care about.
Right. Yeah, California is just nuts. So a bathroom alone is between $500 and $800 for a permit.
Yeah. You know, the
Wow.
last one,
Yeah.
the last one I was doing, Jim, we did all the windows and we remodeled one of the bathrooms down to the studs, and we did a new kitchen, and the only permit they wanted was for the windows. They didn't care about anything else.
Wow.
And I'm here in Watsonville, so
Gotcha.
but it's different. I was telling the folks too on previous calls that we did a whole house remodel in Santa Cruz. The permit was like $1,500 for everything. And then we went to Scotts Valley and did the same exact thing, and the permit was $8,000.
Yeah.
It's just depends.
Yeah. So
That
I
one.
don't know if you did some stuff in Davis a long time ago. They actually have, if you sell your house, you have to get an inspection.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it forces people to get or to actually get permits, which I actually like.
Yeah.
Because then it takes it off us.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always have to tell you do what you want to do. I'm building it the same way, whether you get the permit or not. I highly recommend it because it's going to be triple the fees if you don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's going to get shut down. And then I'm moving on to the next job because it got shut down because you decided not to do that.
Right.
So, yeah. There's all kinds of horror stories about permits.
Yeah.
So do you do full remodels or are you doing repair or?
We do, I like the whole house remodels. I work with a few agents down here in our area, so we've been fortunate to land the whole house project, and we have a good roofer that we sub those out to, and then I handle everything else inside.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I really like those. We over probably the last 10 years, it's mostly been kitchens and bathrooms. But like you said, we do pretty much everything. I think my mind isn't slowing down, but my body is.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm 55. I've had back surgery and knee surgery.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been fortunate not to have anything like that, but yeah, I'm 61 this year, and it's just a little tougher each year.
I'm right there with you. That and I have total denial that I need glasses, that I should be wearing glasses sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Next time I'll have my camera. I'm in a remote location. I forgot my camera.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
That would be great to see you. But I imagine hopefully we'll get to meet in Vegas.
Oh, we'll definitely meet in Vegas. Yeah. Yeah. So this is typically every week this time.
Yeah. Like I said, the only thing that might interrupt it, I was thinking maybe of going live in Vegas for a bit on my channel. But then I thought I don't want to seem like we're teasing the people that don't get to go to Vegas. So maybe it'd be better just to wait till we get back.
Gotcha. Actually, it might be a good thing for them to see the camaraderie and everything else that's going on.
That's true.
I'm actually looking really forward to going. So, because this is the first one I've been to. I've never been to any meetups because I just started this whole journey back in July. Started doing the research.
Oh,
I haven't
really?
purchased the property yet. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's great. Yeah, I know last year was super fun. A lot of the financial firefighter was there and Sam was there. Mikey, who is up here too, he was there. Um, so it was really, really special meeting everybody that we talked to each week, right? We were talking for months on Zoom before we went there, and then Mark's saying in the chat that he's going to be doing a Crocs videos on the strip, so you have to be there for that. You know, you were asking about Friday. Depending what time you get there, I know Dion was also talking about they're going to be on Fremont Street. Last year they were video interviewing showgirls and male strippers and things like that. So that should be a good time.
Yeah, I landed at 5:47, so I won't get to the hotel till probably 6:30, 7 o'clock.
In the evening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, if you're there now, those guys were talking about doing some kind of a get together on Friday evening. Do you remember? He's probably pretending like he's working or something. I don't know. Which doesn't happen very often. But yeah, like I said,
Yeah, I sent you an email, so just shoot me a back. Make sure you got it.
Okay, let me check. Okay.
Now Watsonville's kind of close to Monterey, isn't it?
We're about 30 minutes from Monterey.
Okay.
We're like 15 minutes south of Santa Cruz.
Yeah, I want to try to get Dion to come up there so he can do some cold water diving.
Yeah, I know. I saw you guys talking about that.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of him going where he's going.
Yeah, he's still hoping to go. I think, like he was saying, he was waiting till his brother was all cleared with his doctors, and then he's going to take off probably in March.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to be knee deep into my rehab of the first property at that time. So we will see.
Yeah. So for you, if you picked one up in Yosemite, what's that from you? An hour?
3 hours.
Oh, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And how big of a crew do you have?
I have 4 actual employees, plus I have a bunch of subs we work really well together.
Oh, great.
But I have 4 true employees. But depending on the situation that just happened, perfect. It came through. Depending on my situation that just happened today, some jobs I've been working for a corporation for a while, and some things are changing with that. So my cash flow is going to go away, which sucks. Because I can always rely on that every 2 weeks, and then I do other stuff. I was doing other projects on the side of that, so now I got to go back to the real world and do those kitchens and baths again.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, but I have no problem working 16, 20-hour days. I'm used to that. Been doing that forever. So,
yeah. Would kind of, I guess it's off topic, but you mentioned tile work and stuff. Do you do mortar beds and stuff? Or are you using?
I do not do mortar beds. I do not believe in them. I think they're the stupidest thing out there. California is one of the only places that still does it. So I use a product called Hydroblock.
Okay.
It's a closed cell foam. When we're doing tile floors, I typically do that. Now, for the rentals and stuff I'm going to be doing, I will do a shower pan every time.
Okay.
It's way more cost effective. There's a product called Swanstone. It's similar to a Corian. The color's through and through. You can clean it with acetone and a sandpaper if you want to. So the color's going to be fine. Then I'm going to put a nice looking tile. Because a tile bed on something you have to maintain, I don't like that on the floor. And then I'll put, my plan is to put all LVP everywhere. Okay. So it's just easy to take care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carpet's just stupid. I don't know why anybody puts carpet in anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to install quite a bit of Swanstone on the shower kits and stuff.
Yeah,
It's a nice product, like you said, cuts and sands similar to wood.
exactly.
So
Yep.
you can use all the same tools. That was
Well,
nice.
and the thing that's nice, because I did a ton of it 20 years ago, but what's nice now is they have colors that look cool.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
used to be pretty
They
bland.
use very monotone. Yeah, very boring. Yeah, but for a rental, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's very hard to screw it up.
That's true. Yeah. I think for a rental I would probably go that way versus a nice tile setup.
Yeah.
But
for STRs, I can't. I have to do the tile because the thing with STRs, it's got to be Instagrammable.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got to be able to do that social media and stuff like that, which is what you want for an STR.
Yeah.
So you got to have everything looking pretty good, and you get the higher end stuff and so on and so forth. So
that's true.
Yeah, but I'm planning on outs with the STR. So I wouldn't start with an STR. That's crazy. But I'm planning on building it a way to where if it doesn't work in a year and I don't like it and it's too much work or it's not making what I thought, sell the property because it's not rentable, not in California. Yeah, so there's no way I can long term it.
Right. On that, so you're planning on basically managing that yourself?
Yes, correct.
Okay. There was somebody else that joins our calls. I can't remember the name off the top, but they were doing, is it like a super host or something like that?
Yeah, super. It's one of the designations. I don't know all of that stuff yet. I'm still working on those systems. That's that's why I've been doing this for about 8 months is I've been working on systems for everything. Because construction, if you don't have systems, you're nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been working on systems on long-term rental, short-term rental, and then mid-term rental too. I haven't played with that one enough yet. But then I'm also working on systems on other locations as well. YouTube's great. You take that information from everybody and then you make it work for you. And it's just, I love it. So in these phone calls, these type of things that you're doing right now, they're freaking awesome because you get the things that people have already dealt with.
Right.
Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, that's the thing too. Back when, Zuber and those guys were kind of
cutting their teeth.
No, I was going to say they were trying to get people to start channels, and so I started my channel. It's been about a year now, but just to document everything we're going through, all our mistakes, all our lessons and stuff like that. So hopefully that helps people out there, but there's not a huge following yet, but it's building slowly and doing these weekly calls and the other calls. Are you in school too?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah. So like Lindsay was on earlier, their calls on Friday morning for out-of-state investors.
I thought that was a different. I thought that was on Thursdays.
No, the out-of-state investing call is Lindsay and Vincent host that. It's every Friday at 8.
Oh,
Pacific.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah. There's
this morning was ladies.
Yeah, the ladies of Orat happens this morning, and then Jared does his call on Sundays at 12:30. Jared's the one.
I was driving back. I was driving to and from Mariposa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of valuable stuff in there.
Yeah. I've listened to everybody so far. So yeah.
Great.
Have you taken any of the courses?
I'm in Dion's course, and I've taken the Lumberjacks course. We took Brick by Brick Wealth. We took I was talking about Ashley Hamilton earlier from Detroit. We took her course, and that's where we learned and started building business credit, getting business credit cards specifically, and we're in Zuber's course. So yeah, I've talked about it. We probably spent between 8,000 to 10,000 on mentorships over our 4 years.
Yeah, I'm close to there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but the thing that I love about all this type of stuff is you learn from everything. It helps for all your other ventures too. Whatever you're doing, it helps us as well with regular life as well. So, it can cost some money, but it's investment. It's a tool. You got to utilize that how you're going to. And if you go into it thinking that way, then you should be good.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. It's like you just said, helping in other areas of your life besides the real estate. Just for us, it's just been the financial literacy and kind of understanding how things really work. You know, I didn't have a clue before all through life. I was just going, you know, day
Right.
to day and didn't know any better. But all these people are super helpful. They're willing to share everything, and so that's a huge plus.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm kicking myself on now is I thought about this way back when, but never did it.
Hmm.
And now I'm like, I'm 55. I have nothing in retirement because I've been self-employed so long. Like, wait a minute, I better do something about this. Or is it?
You're a couple years ahead of me. I was 57 when we were able to start again, so we're kind of in the same spot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but we can see the benefits and stuff, you know, even though we got a late start, we're pretty sure it's going to help with our retirement because living on Social Security ain't happening, you know.
No, correct. Yep. Yeah, see that was one of my other ideas too for doing the STR and stuff in Mariposa County is I'm going to start a business down there too.
Oh,
Actually, I'm going to probably start two businesses. One of them is just going to be there's all kinds of Airbnbs down there. So I'm going to market out to those Airbnbs and say, hey, you need maintenance work, you need contracting work, I'm here. So when I have to go down to that property, I schedule a day a week or 2 days a week. I go down there, deal with some of that stuff, and deal with my property at the same time. So I'm not going down there for free. I've got income coming in too.
Yeah.
And then I'm also going to be starting a land clearing business for all these fires and everything else. You got a bobcat and a forestry machine, and you go in, you clean out the land, you make it so it's more fire resistant. So, because that's a big one for me, that freaks me out.
Oh,
especially when I'm looking, the properties, all the properties I'm looking at are in the country.
Right. I was just going to say,
yeah. I will be clearing everything out. I will be putting metal up at least 12, 18 inches on all the property and get some of that fire break out. So
do you run that equipment yourself?
I'll have people doing it. I haven't done it yet because that's a big investment.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm looking into it because I need it anyway. For the properties I want to get, I need that. So it's once again, I'm maximizing all of my use of everything I'm doing. So I've got a lot of equipment now, but that one, the only reason I haven't done that in years past, I never had any place to put it. Because I live in a suburb. I can't put all those tractors and everything else in somewhere. I've got a dump trailer that I have to store somewhere else, and renting space is just expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So got all kinds of plans. We'll see if they all go together.
There you go. Yeah. We hope the best for you. Yeah.
So
since you guys are contractors, have you guys thought about like buying these ready like buying just the land and then getting these ready small homes and just install them on the land and connecting electric, plumbing, and build a foundation, stuff like that? Wouldn't that be an idea that you guys have you guys thought about that? Since you know the experience you guys have with contracting, it feels like this is a way of having like a house that is maybe a little less expensive than buying an investment home.
Yes and no. Buying a piece of property, you're looking at anywhere between 12 and 100 grand or more. Then you're looking at septic, 20 grand minimum. You're looking at a well, another 12 grand. Then you're looking at permits because you have to do a whole lot plan. You have to have building plans. You have to have engineering. You have to have Title 24. You have to have all that stuff. So by the time you're all said and done, you're looking at $300,000 to $400,000 for a 1,300 square foot house. So it's an extreme cost. Yes, I have looked into it very much. It's something I will look into more. And the biggest problem with that, even with ADUs in California, you're looking at roughly a 8 to 12 month time frame just for an ADU. For raw land, you're looking for between 12 months and 2 years to be approved and get your permit. So there's a lot more that goes into it.
And it seems like what from what you said is that these ready homes that you buy maybe from Home Depot, sometimes Walmart, I don't know what other websites sell them, and you unfold them and install them. It seems like you
can't do that. They have to engineer out, and they won't. I hate those things that they're doing that because they're putting false impressions in people's minds. Because at least in California, there are other jurisdictions, I'm sure you can do it, but California, you are not doing it. You still have to do the septic, you still have to do the well, you still have to pull the permits and get the engineering from that manufacturer, and then you have to do the lot plans and everything else. Now they do have park model mobile homes and stuff like that. Get put on foundations, but it's still a ton of work. They say they're selling for 30, 40,000. Well, you have another 80,000 they have to put into it before it goes on that property.
Even mobile homes.
Yes, because a mobile home or any of those homes you're talking about, they're mobile homes, and they have all kinds of other issues too, because they don't have a ton, in my area at least, they don't have a lot of resale value, because mobile homes have to have a stamp. They have to be on a permanent foundation. If they're not like that, you can't finance them. At least in California. I don't know if other areas are different.
Oh, the same, yeah. But you mentioned. So do these homes only have to be where there is a septic and well? You cannot just put them on public water and public sewer.
You can put them on public water, but you're going to have to check your own jurisdiction. Honestly, that whole thing is probably going to change, especially in California. In the next 5 to 10 years, they have to do something about housing. So in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be some changes, but it's going to take a long time. Because the same thing with the ADUs. You have a house right now. If you put an ADU on it, they can't. The appraisers can't appraise that property correctly because they don't have a path yet for that ADU on the property. So they happen to call it a 5-bedroom when the house is not that. They're basically discounting that a whole ADU. It's a big issue right now, and eventually it'll work itself out, but it's going to take a lot of time to do that.
Yeah. So it seems like you're, from your experience, you're against these ready homes to become I didn't think about them as mobile homes. They seems like they seems like what you're saying is they look like they will be mobile homes, and
yeah, they're definitely considered a mobile home. And I don't know obviously you check with your jurisdiction because all jurisdictions are different, but it's definitely considered a mobile home. Because it's not a stick-built home. Like I'm having an issue with a lot of the properties I'm looking at. I can't get financing on them because their main heat source is a wood-burning stove. If they do not have an HVAC, I cannot get financing.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of that a lot. If they don't have a HVAC, central HVAC, there's most banks won't finance them.
Yes, correct. That's what I've been running into.
And that's the case for. That's the case for mobile homes? Is that the case for mobile homes?
I've had the same problem with mobile homes. If they don't have the stamp and if they don't have if they're not on a permanent foundation, you cannot finance them. I just looked at a 20-acre lot up in Mariposa that had 2 nice little units, nice piece of property, but they did not put the foundation on it, so I can't do it. I would have loved to have jumped on that because it had great views and everything else. But since you can't, because my whole thing is, I want to burr it. I want to rehab stuff and get some equity in it right away. And if I can't refinance it through a DSCR, then it's pointless.
Yeah, there's no point to spend the money there. Well, you can also maybe sell or finance it to someone, but that's also another path. That's not a straightforward path there. So
yeah, I'm not there yet. Private money is one of the things I really want to find at some point. I have a little bit of private money coming from some family, but it's only enough to do one deal at a time. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it'll put a limit on what you can do and who you can sell it to versus someone who comes with a bank loan. So it's much easier to do that. But okay, well, it seems that from what you're saying is that you're pretty much against the idea of buying the land, even with your experience as a contractor. It seems like you're against the idea of buying a land and just getting these structures ready and coming.
I'm not against it at all. The jurisdictions aren't here yet.
Yeah,
the permitting is not available yet. Because they're advertising these things for $30,000, but they are not telling you all that has to go into it. And then not only that, a lot of times where you want to put that property on, you have to have a crane. not every property can get a crane to it. So you have a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of limitations. There's a lot of research that needs to go in before you definitely don't pop your money down until you go talk to the building department and the planning department.
That's the hard part about it, because that planning and permitting and just understanding what they want and what they don't want is the biggest part there. Yeah, there's a company, when we went last year to Vegas, they were talking about a company that sell them. It's called Bartable, and a couple of people went and looked at the models in Vegas. It seems like a cool idea, but again, but there's no foundation, there's no plumbing, there's no, all these things that, that needs to be connected. So it's gonna add up.
That company has Elon Musk behind him, so he will get it worked at some point. I guarantee it.
Interesting.
Yes, it is the wave of the future. It will happen at some point, but the jurisdictions just have to get on board with it. Because there's all kinds of 3D printed houses too that are really cool concepts, but it's just the jurisdictions are not there yet. Because glamping has a lot of that stuff. Because I've done a lot of research into glamping too, and they have a ton of that. You can actually take a forklift or a Telluride. You can lift up that whole cabin, put it on a property. You can take a 3-bathroom little cabin thing, lift it onto the property and set it down. There's all kinds of it there for glamping. They just have, for permanent use, they don't have it yet.
Yeah. Well, thanks for yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these jurisdictions have just not gotten out of their own way, in my opinion. Because I'm looking at STRs and stuff all in different places, and they're banning them. Well, they're getting 11% TOT taxes. That's good money in a lot of these areas that need it, and they're turning that stuff down. Regulated it all day long, but why turn it away? I don't understand that. All these jurisdictions are fighting for money and stuff like that, and they just say no, and that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks for sharing. It seems like thanks for sharing. It seems like you have looked at it, and thanks for sharing the information with us. And it seems cool, but it's a lot of work. So may not be the good one for. It might not be a good thing to do. So
it will be in the future, just not now.
Well, I just think they want their full amount of all the fees on every development, right? So,
the jurisdictions and building departments just have issues with. Some of them have issues with the way they look. Yeah, they do want their fees, but there's so many hurdles you have. At least, like I said, in my area, there's just so many hurdles you have to go through to do it. It's way easier to go a different direction than it is to go through those hurdles.
Yeah, they want to discourage you from going.
Yes, correct. Absolutely. Right. And that's the biggest thing too. Dealing with building departments, if it's something out of the norm, it's extremely difficult to do because it's out of the norm.
Yeah, because it will affect the property's value next to it, and so on. So they don't want that.
Yeah, and then also it's also the NIMBYs, not in my backyards, because it's different. And that's what everything is based on. Everything is based on complaint base. So that's what all the jurisdictions go by, and the planners and all the bigwigs, they all go by on complaint base. So once those NIMBYs say, I don't like that, and they get enough of them,
well, it'll lower their value because it's you're putting in a lower valued building in there, right?
Well, that's what is happening with these ADUs. You put 3 ADUs on a piece of property. That's doing, in my opinion, that's doing the same thing.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of ADUs.
Yeah, I think they have their place. I don't think they have their place on a 1/4 acre lot. It's just too small. It's getting too congested, and San Diego is having the hardest time with that right now.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
So I hate to monopolize this whole thing, Frank.
No. It's a lot of great information. Thank you.
By the way, I wanted to ask, how long should a septic tank motor last? I guess there's some motor in there.
It depends on how long, if it's been serviced. There's all kinds of factors to that. Because a septic tank should be pumped out once a year. You shouldn't just let it go. It should be serviced. So if it's working really hard all the time, it can be a year. If it's not, if you're cleaning stuff out and making sure it's all good and doing maintenance on it, it can last 5-10 years. It just depends on how well you're doing things.
Yeah, I put one in 5 years ago. It just went right now, and it's like a $3,000 charge.
Yeah, I mean the pumps themselves are not that expensive. They're like $500-600 depending. It's the labor is going to be hard because you got to put it in. So, but septics don't work. Are you talking about a well or septic?
Septic.
Do you have a lift station?
I don't know what I have.
Because septics don't usually have pumps.
Because
septics work off a tank. They go up to a certain level and then they go out to the leach field.
Well, it
aerobics
does. It backed up into the house. I guess it wasn't working, and that's why.
If it's backing up into the house, it's not necessarily the pump. You could have a backup in your line. You need to have somebody come out and either snake it or.
They already did the work. It was like $3,300 for everything.
Yeah, that's not bad. Hopefully they cleaned it all out too.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they did, but like 5 years ago, I had to do the same thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a decent lifespan.
Okay, so take it out every year, I guess.
Yeah, just because they charge like $500 to come pump it out.
Okay.
It'll just extend the life a little bit, and then you have a lot less issues.
Okay.
And talk to
maybe I should charge the renter a surcharge because that's like he's not paying for the sewer.
Well, just try to include that in your rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't always do that. It depends on what's rent and your availability in your area. So I don't have an answer for that. That's new for me. I haven't gotten into that stuff yet. So
I'll have to ask about all the detail. Well, the property manager doesn't know either. I guess they're used to city water.
Frank, are any of your septic?
Our personal house is septic. All of our investment properties are on city services, but on ours, we get it pumped. There's just the two of us, so probably every 4 years we've had it pumped and have the leach line checked. And ours was 15 years old when we moved in, and we've been here over 20 years. So the system is at least 35 years old. It's a concrete septic tank, 2 chambers, obviously, and we have had very good luck with it. But like Jim was saying, that's one thing that I tease Dion about, because he doesn't. His thing is he's never messed with any of his septics, and they're all doing good. But I think, like Jim said, you need to get them pumped occasionally, and they'll last you a good long time. I did, Jim, you mentioned the lift station. So
yeah,
on my channel, I did some videos because we used a lift station. We remodeled our garage. It's a single car garage, and I put a full bathroom in there. It's lower, a little bit lower than the house, so I used one of the Liberty pumps.
Yep.
And one issue that I'm having is the thing works beautifully, so I have the line going under our house and connecting with our waste lines. But when that thing kicks on and pumps the water, all the P-traps in the house, you can hear them gurgling, sucking air.
Did you put a vent on it?
It has the vent, and it has one of the little one-way air valves.
So you did a Studer vent.
It had a Studer vent, and I unscrewed it because I thought it was restricting the air, and I just left it open and tried it again, and it still does that. So I'm wondering if I need to snake out my vent pipes in the house to make sure that they're all clear. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, have you been up on the roof to see if there's any birds or anything else that got in there?
There's nothing obvious. I'm just wondering if there's maybe something, because the house was built in 46. It's old not cast iron, it's galvanized, 1.5-inch galvanized vents. So I was thinking of trying to run a small snake and even, running some water down the lines just to make sure that they're all clear.
It could also be that your lines are just getting so full because it's like an artery. As time goes on, it closes up. It could just be starving for air because of that. So you could have to replace your main lines.
Okay.
Yeah, because that happens. It just starts closing up. The more it closes up, because usually that flow of stuff is at the bottom half of the pipe. Well, if it starts building up, then you have no air, so it's just starving for air. You don't usually get vent blockages. That's very rare.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I'm thinking you more have an issue with the actual main lines.
Okay.
That you don't have enough room in that main line anymore.
Yeah, they were small to begin with. I think mostly it's just 2 inch. It's not even 3 inch.
Yeah.
On the waist. So maybe what I'll do is I'll blast those through and try to clean them out first.
You won't be able to steal it rusts out. It is completely rusted.
Oh no, all that stuff is ABS.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Well, I am going to get going. I thank you guys all a lot. This is always helpful. I greatly appreciate it. But my wife's yelling at me right now, and I'm not home yet.
Okay, yeah. Hopefully, we'll see you in upcoming weeks. I appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, I'm not the only one in trouble.
Yeah.
Tell her I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll probably close it up now too if you guys don't have anything else. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
Mikey, are you done with work yet? Probably not.
Probably not. With this, maybe the time over there, time difference is.
Yeah, it's only 6 p.m. Almost 6:30 for him.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, imagine if we have a Greenland and someone lives there and see the time difference there.
Yeah, I know we were. He's working. Yeah, we were talking because our son is in Australia right now. So for him, it's Thursday about 1 p.m.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Thursday, 1 p.m. Wow, so it's like a big difference.
Yeah.
Well, might as well join our meeting.
Yeah, I should tell him. He's probably not doing much else, having lunch.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, all this time.
Yeah. What I was going to say earlier, Sam, because we've been researching Washington State, and a lot of the properties there do have mobile homes. And so what I've been finding is the banks won't lend on them if they're older than 1973. And also if the home has been moved more than once, meaning like say you have a piece of property and you buy a mobile home and you have it put on the property. That's one time. So if it's moved again, they won't lend on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Why is that?
I'm not sure why that is, but some of the properties that we've seen for sale where the mobile home is older than 1973, you have to buy it cash.
Yeah. The same here. I think it's the same here. And Frank, what I also like, there's over the years, I've heard of couple incidents where, if you have a tornado in the area, I mean, that can rip off that can just damage the mobile homes right when it hits them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, and I've heard that a couple times where this tornado goes to mobile homes and it just damaged the whole thing. but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about if a tornado hit like a regular stick-built home, how what damage would that home will get versus a mobile home. Because to me, if that's the case, then I probably will never touch a mobile home. If and even though there's some opportunities there, because tornadoes can happen here very often.
Well, supposedly, at least the new ones, since they're built at the factory, they're actually stronger than a regular home when it comes to winds and all that.
Yeah, and I wonder too about that because in Florida, I believe there are still, some mobile home parks. I know on the regular homes, the roofs have to have special hold downs and things like that to help with the roofs blowing off the house. And here in California, like Jim was saying, the homes have to, like, they'll pour a pad to put the home on, and then there's like seismic strapping kits. That house has to be bolted down to the concrete. But I don't know how it would work in hurricane territory.
Yeah, definitely. They're making them better, stronger. There's more standards. They're building these homes, these mobile homes, according to. But I just it's just worth some research. I know the insurance is higher for sure on mobile homes. But I think just recently I heard of this incident, and I probably in the past too, that this tornado came and just damaged those mobile homes, and that's kind of, sometimes it's attractive because you can buy a piece of land and you can buy a mobile home for a very cheap price, especially the used ones, and probably even if you buy cash, it's still can be a good deal because they are pretty cheap. But I just have to do some more research on that.
It seems like tornadoes are attracted to mobile homes. But that's because that land is like in Tornado Alley. It's in a lower priced area, right? Because it's Tornado Alley or something like that.
Yeah. Well, now it seems like the tornadoes aren't even staying in the alley. Tornado Alley is migrating. I think it was to the east a little bit from the path it used to take. But I was going to say too that Dion's brother, most of his portfolio was mobile homes here in California.
And one other cool thing about them is that because they don't sell using bank loans, you can get really good deals with seller financing on those, because the seller, they don't have the pool of buyers, and so that can lend because there's no loans available. And so the cool thing about them was like also is that you can get them on a seller financing deals. I actually was offered a couple of them on that, but I just didn't do that. But that's one other thing, for mobile homes. Well, we'll do more research, I guess, on that. It's just these mobile homes are, there are a bunch of them here in Texas as well. So. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
It's very similar. It's very similar to here. It's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. I know with insurance, I wonder what they're going to do with insurance going well higher here too, down in LA County and things like that, hopefully. But like Zuber was saying, did you catch that today too, where he was saying like California insurance is going to be crazy, so he advised us in California not to even go looking for quotes for insurance because it might flag the insurance companies, and then they might cancel us or something like that. But the insurance across the whole United States, except for Florida and California, he said you might want to go look for new insurance because the rates are going down.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which
You- you-
it doesn't seem right, but that's what he said.
Well, Frank, I have someone in my church, and he is an insurance broker. And I was talking to him about, how high the insurance went up the last few years, and I was comparing one to another, and he did say that there is these insurance companies are getting together. There's a conference, and there is a possibility that rates are going down. And so that this is a broker of a guy I know, and yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I want to see it. But yeah, it's interesting that Zuber mentioned that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did a show with that guy, the insurance guy from Steadily. So that's on his channel too, if you want to check it out.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, okay. I will check it out. I think the reason why this guy, my friend mentioned that is because it seems like they've been, the rates have been high for over, the last few years, and I think they are coming down. I don't think too much, but probably coming down a little bit, because they probably just raised them so high the last few years.
Mm-hmm. That could be part of it too.
Yeah, I have like a new build. My first property was a new build, and the first year I paid, believe it or not, I paid $350 insurance because it was a new build. But now it's $850. So and so within 3 years, this big jump happened.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. You can't keep track of everything that happens. Different things get affected by different things.
Yeah, hopefully the insurance, and even in California and Florida, may go down. But yeah, with these, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see about here in Texas as well.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting to watch. With that said, well, you guys have a great night, and we'll catch up with you guys next week. Have a great night, guys, and see you guys soon then.
Okay, Sam. Thank you. We'll see you next week. I think we'll stop here, you guys. So thank you all for jumping on. We'll look forward to chatting with you next Wednesday. Good luck, Val, on your
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
eviction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good luck, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And thanks too about letting me know about the t-shirt. And definitely, if you don't find it, you got my number. Just shoot me a text message.
I will, my brother. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you so much.
All right. Yes, sir. Have a good night. Yes. All right. We'll see you. Bye-bye.